He climbed the shoreline at first light and saw smoke curling from the village, fires still burning, meat hanging from racks, but no people moving between the houses. The report that followed was simple and stark. A small Inuit settlement at Anjikuni Lake, winter of 1930, found emptied of its inhabitants. Before that morning, the place was ordinary. Isolated hamlet on the tundra, families in sod houses and tents, hunters and trappers in the circuit. The trapper who encountered the scene had been part of that world. He was a known figure, not a dramatist. The accounts name the time and the weather. They name stoves, sleds, and a wind that cut through wool clothing. Ordinary life interrupted. What was left behind was described in detail, and then in contradiction. Some contemporary dispatches record doors ajar, kettles on stoves, and bedding unmade. A child's toys reportedly lay where they were last used. Dogs were said to be found where they had been tied. Other versions say dogs were missing. Some witnesses reported empty coffins in graves. Others said graves were untouched. A ledger entry and a torn note appear in one archive, while police logs in another district show no missing person report. Tracks in the snow were noted. Tracks that led away and then stopped, or tracks that led to the tree line and never returned. One man said he heard voices in the distance the night before. Another insisted the hamlet had been silent for days. These are the threads that do not knit together. Physical evidence, where it exists, is circumscribed and inconsistent. A frying pan warm to the touch is the kind of detail that suggests immediacy. An intact store of fish and pemmican suggests no planned departure. At the same time, the absence of bodies, the lack of a mass grave, and the scattered reports of missing dogs complicate any simple inference. Weather records confirm a cold snap at the time. That can stall movement. It can also obscure tracks, but it does not explain why households would leave cooking fires unattended. Investigations followed different routes and arrived at different impasses. Local officials considered disease and migration. Hunters considered a raid or mass slaughter. Traders suggested an enforced relocation or coerced movement to another post. Skeptics pointed to contemporary journalism, possible embellishment, and errors in filing. Subsequent archival searches turned up contradictory files, a newspaper article, a police notebook that omits the case, and a later interview in which names and dates no longer align. Oral histories from the region preserve elements of the story, but not a single consistent narrative. Each explanation exposes a gap. Disease would leave bodies or records. A voluntary move would leave a destination. A raid would leave evidence of violence. A hoax requires motive and contemporaneous corroboration. None of those gaps is closed by the surviving documents. Among the small, stubborn details is one that endures in the files. Notes from one of the early visitors record that bread was left on the table, the oven still warm, and a lamp that had been lit the night before. No record, official or oral, accounts for where the people of Anjikuni went after that lamp was seen burning.